Warda, Sada, what is the difficulty in making peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis? Why is it so difficult?
I think it's starting from the acknowledgement of the suffering, starting by the Palestinian suffering and later on by some of the suffering of the Israeli. I think people in both sides think that it's not easy to reconcile, especially after the 7th of October. It makes this issues harder and it's not easy to reconcile. But I think always there is a hope for change. I can get you back to the first intifada, after the first intifada and all the that was during the 5 years, 6 years intifada. People forgot about the suffering and start over. So I think if we go to that area and come back to this area, to this time, it's about the leadership.
We have this conflict, this violence going on for over 100 years, even before these leaders were born. Don't you think that there is something very severe, very at the root of this conflict that we are not really dealing with? What is the root of the problem?
It's a very big question dealing with the root of the problem. There was here Palestinians and Jews living together without any problem. And when there was a severe immigration of the Jewish, no one attacked them, no one stopped them from that. Later on, the Zionist movement started to make, according to what I read and what I heard from, even Jews and Arabs who lived in that time, that there was some issues speaking about attacks, about things that happened, for example, for Jews by the Arabs or by the Palestinians, and attacks of the Arabs by the Zionist organization, which was spreaded also all over. This makes the situation very hard, and people started to suspect each other and be afraid from each other. And this is, if you speak about the root it's hidden by the fear from one of the other, that they don't trust each other. They don't go to the real life that there was before, and they were manipulated by the leaders. If we speak about the leaders, it was leaders who led the Zionist movement, and what happened in also the British Mandate and all these things. So also the Arab leaders also, they weren't also clear about what happened there. I think if I was a leader in the Arab countries, in new countries, because they were also very new, and they are, in some place, they don't know what is going on, but speaking about somebody, Zionist Jews are taking the lands of the Palestinians, and maybe they come to take our also land, because the Zionist movement also speak about from the between the two, according to the Tanakh, between the two rivers, from Iraq to Nilos. So this was spread, all over the world, and people started to be very suspicious, very afraid, and besides that, there was also the man that
The British
helps,
mandate.
the British man that who help also some of the Zionist movements, and this, for example, I can tell you a lot of stories that I heard even from my father's Jewish Palestinian friend who always spoke about this area as this time as a very crucial time in his life, that take away his sin, take away his calm, take away everything of his life. And, it's changed his identity from Yusuf to Joseph to Yossi. He is called Yossi.
From Yusuf,
And
from
yeah,
Yusuf to
he
Joseph.
was Yusuf. He was Yusuf. And also he was born here, but his parents also came from Iraq that time, but 50 or 70 years before the establishment of Israel. So the Jews were moving from place to place and all over the Middle East without any problems, and they live in very good neighborhood with very good friendship. Even I think also, according to some theory that's speaking about the minorities, that even the minorities in the Middle East, like Christians, like Jews, like other Circassian or something, were very respected, and giving them some respect as a neighborhood. They can choose how to live, how to manage their life, everything.
So
So I
the
think
the,
it's
the area
about the fear.
the area of Israel Palestine, or at that time was Palestine, the idea of racism, did it exist at that time? And we're talking about the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century. Were they racist Palestinians? I'm speaking before Zionism. Before Zionism, the impression I got is, my parents are from Iraq. That I'm not sure if there was if one set of people felt superior to another. This whole thing, I think that this whole conflict is about racism.
Uh-huh.
It's about uh, Zionist Jews who came to Palestine, who themselves suffered from racism. They suffered from racism in Europe,
Yes.
severe racism.
Yeah.
And then they did not elevate themselves to reject racism, in my opinion. I'm not a historian, but that's my impression. They did not elevate themselves to reject racism, but they just adopted racism against other people who happen to be the Palestinians.
I think you're right in that case, because sometimes when you are getting involved in racism and suffer from racism, so you create some kind of distrust against others. And if anyone for not welcomed you, or even sometimes say that you are not acceptable or something, those people create a kind of anti, and get a kind of it's like, they speak about, I'm educator, and then when a child get abused when he is in his childhood, they predict that if he didn't get um, healed from this trauma of being abused, he will be also an abused father. So I think as much as I also cope with what happened in the Holocaust and what happened later on, I taught also in Jewish schools and colleges, all the time speaking about that this trauma of the Holocaust as something that not to read it and to learn from it and to heal from it, but or to get aware that there is an enemy, that he is all the time after us and all the time want to kill us and want to make for us what happened in the Holocaust, which is, it's make the people more traumatized, more paranoid, and make the situation horrible. I once was in this ceremony of, the Holocaust in the school while I was teaching in a Jewish school. I cried a lot when I hear the people speaking about what they passed through. I cried a lot, everything, but I said, ربنا شل العلماء, to say that why they don't acknowledge that as something that happened, and we have to learn from it, not to fear from it, to learn from it, and not to get these kids that they didn't even know about the Holocaust only by these stories, which is sometimes, coming only from the emotional part of those people who speaking about the Holocaust, and they make the situation very hard for these kids and not getting to heal them from that. Yani the very hard thing of the Holocaust by and let them live that part but without healing them. So this paranoid or that there is an enemy coming after us, they will kill us, they will take us away from that place, make the people really very afraid. And this happened to me, I'm not Jewish, and I was in a ceremony like that. I was always, for 2 weeks thinking about myself, what happened to me after the ceremony. Really, it made me feel like, yeah, the people are after the Jews. The people, all the, maybe also me, are now after me because I was in the ceremony. It's like creating something, some trauma in those small head of hearts of these kids. And this, generation, it's the third, fourth generation after the Holocaust. And this is coming also again and again and every year. And like it is very, a very holy cow that we couldn't speak about it only in this specification. I was also in Japan. In Japan, they passed through something very hard, which is called, the Hiroshima and what happened there. Every year
Nagasaki.
they have memorizing, what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But they speak about that only to learn it from the past, never again. They said, we don't want any kind of war. We don't want any kind of this situation coming back to our people and other peoples. This is what I learned when I was in that kind of memorizing the what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But in Israel, unfortunately, especially in the education system, they have a systematic traumatized for the people in Israel, which also make everything hard to the people to trust others, to trust the other side,
Right,
to trust
right.
other people. On the same, not only in Palestine or in Israel, all over the world. If
Yeah.
someone comes to you to tell you that don't make this because it is bad, you said that because I'm Jewish, you are anti-Semitic. It makes like it's like a joking, but it's really sad what is
Yeah.
going on.
By the way, Ribono Shel Olam in Hebrew, in English, is for Christ's sake.
Yeah, for Christ's sake. Yeah.
Okay. So you said, for Christ's sake, Ribono Shel Olam, why are they not reaching a different conclusion from the trauma that they went through?
Yes.
And I think that's, by the way, I was born to that culture. I believe that culture, hook, line, and sinker,
Yeah.
totally, because I was born to it. It's very, very difficult to be
You
born
agree
to it.
with me, yeah? You agree with my
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I changed my views later on in my life when I realized that, like I said, we are from Iraq, and I'm looking at the Palestinian people, and I see them the same as me,
yeah.
the same
You look
behavior.
like also Arab,
Yeah, the
What's the
same
difference between
behavior.
you and me?
Yeah, yes. I met with Hanan Ashrawi, and we discovered that we may be related. She's from Iraq too.
You
You
really?
know, yeah. So, but it is very, very difficult to have this ideology which I think is the heart of the problem, is the ideology of being afraid of non-Jews, of being afraid of Palestinians.
Yeah.
To remove that ideology is extremely difficult. It makes the Israelis, makes us as narcissists. We only see ourselves, you know.
Masochist and masochist, not
And
only not
yes. So
that you want to make pain for yourself by memorizing this thing in the same way over and over and over and over without healing from it, without
right,
learning from it,
right, without growing, without growing.
without growing. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is why it was so easy for the Zionists to expel the Palestinians in the Nakba. It's they didn't really see them as, as equal, normal human being. I remember they were saying things in Israel. It doesn't really hurt them. It doesn't really hurt them. And when you tell a child that, he believes it. He
Uh-huh.
believes that Palestinians are different. So I congratulate you for being. How would you? How do you identify yourself as Palestinian Israeli? How do you identify yourself?
You know, I always said, even in all interviews in the TV and every place, I am Palestinian and I am also Israeli Palestinians. Why? Because I live the both cultures. I am Palestinians because it's by heritage, I have the culture of Palestinians, the language, the feeling of being Palestinians. But I also kind of learned or how to say that I absorb also the new culture, which is called now Israeli, because before that there was no Israeli culture. Now, according to what happened from the establishment of Israel till now, I learned a lot about the Israeli culture. I live with Israeli people, Jewish. I learned Tanakh.
So
I learned
you speak Hebrew fluently.
I speak Hebrew fluently. So because of that, I have both now nationalities or both identification, which is more deep in my heart. It's the Palestinian. And Israeli is kind of like now you are Iraqi and you live in America. So you are American also.
Yeah.
But you can say that the American culture is very deep, like the Iraqi or the Israeli culture that you were also born. I think and I guess if there is a peace, not my kids, my grandkids, if they really face the peace and live the peace and, they can also feel the Israeli identity is strongly than my kids, for example, and from me. Maybe I also different from other Palestinians because I'm activist and I live with the Israeli activism more than half of my. I meet everybody and I learn every day from every Jew I meet. I met here in Israel, and even in the diaspora. Always I met the Jews in the diaspora by chance or also by creating the opportunity to meet the meetings or something. This also give me some culture about what is there and what is here, and it add also to my identity as an Israeli citizen that I am here, Palestinian Israeli citizen, and as in one of my speeches in Balfour when there was all the demonstrations, the last one, I said, I am Arab Israeli, Arab Palestinians. I wish for the day, I hope that this day come when I can say that I am a proud Israeli Arab Palestinian. Until now, I can't feel that I'm proud to say I'm Israeli, but I am part of it. I am Israeli citizen. I wish the situation will be different. And I have a story about after the Nakba when the Oslo came and all the peace negotiation. I was in my village and I saw there was, it was the Independent Day, and I saw the Israeli flags on the cars in my village. I stopped one of the drivers there who was my student. I said to him, "This is for me and you that they put the flags on the cars." He said, "Now we feel more Israeli because there is peace with the Palestinians." So I felt since that time, as much as there is peace, I think the Israeli identity in the Palestinians will be stronger and will be soft to feel it. But the Oslo, the situation wasn't better after the killing of Rabin, etc., and Goldstein. All the things that happened before and after the killing of Rabin. The situation is getting worse and worse until we arrive to this place now because we have no leaders like Shulamit Aloni, like Rabin, who said, okay, we want to make a change, even if we are not very sure about this peace process or not about the steps, but let us make something. It affected the atmosphere in Israel, also in Palestine, and especially in the Arabic society in Israel, that they want to feel very, very, very safe in being an Israeli and in being a Palestinian. But
Are
it's
the Arab Israeli, the Palestinian Israelis, are they being embraced or are they being rejected by the Israeli Jews?
Until the nationality law, which was several years ago, there was always a discussion that Israel want us as its full citizens, even there is laws that discriminate us in land, in the occupation, in some professions, and some areas, that you as Israeli Palestinian, you can't reach out for it. But at least we have the feeling that maybe it's about that we don't have good leadership in the Arabic society or the Jewish society also, that they didn't lead that we have the equality that the law want us to get it. And I felt always if I struggle for my rights, I can get it as a woman, as a employee, as etc., etc. Not mention there is places that I can't struggle for that. I can't go to that because it's Holocaust. That it is only for Jews. Okay, we accepted that, but at least there was some places that we can struggle for our rights. We can struggle for being equal workers, etc., etc. Even if we have the situation and the feeling that it's not fully equality, or kind of racism in different areas, but at least it wasn't legal. This wasn't legal. After the law that was, 7 years ago, I think 6 years ago,
Yeah.
it is legal now to discriminate me. It's legal now to tell me that you are second or third type in the country because you are not Jew. And if you are not Jew, you don't have the right for this and this and this and this. So this make me and make all the Palestinian in Israel feel that that's it. We are not supposed to be Israeli. We are not supposed to be, and sometimes I felt that even the Druze who were,
Loyal, loyal.
have service in the army, and it's obligatory also for them, for the kids, for the men especially. Now they said, I heard a lot Druze say that we are Palestinians.
Yeah.
Before I didn't hear them speaking about that, because now this law also discriminate them and tell them, okay, find your identity. And so they came to this identity, the original identity, which is you are Palestinian.
Well, that's what I see the main problem, one of the main problems with Zionism is that it needs enemies. It cannot survive without enemies, and it always makes sure that it has enemies. And that's why I think that Zionism is harmful to the Jewish people and is harmful to the Palestinian people, because it's not a ideology of equality. It's ideology based on fear,
Supremacy.
yeah, and supremacy. It's based on fear and based on supremacy, and it is danger to the Jewish people. It was a danger to the Jewish people before it was danger to the Palestinian people, because it 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 accepted the fact that Jews do not belong in Europe. And when you do that, you undermine the status of Jews as equal in Europe. You accept the fact that you accept what the anti Semites said to the Jews, that they do not belong in their country. And when you say, well, yeah, we need to go somewhere else, you undermine your own people's equality in that country, and you destabilize their position, their equality in that country, and then they go somewhere else seeking superiority. So I think Zionism was harmful to the Jews before it was harmful to the Palestinians, and now it is harmful to both the Jews and the
On the
Palestinians.
Palestinians.
Um,
I heard, MK, former MK, Avram Burg,
yes,
he described the Zionism as, those things that you put around, the pugum that you put it around the building to restrict it or to build it.
pillars.
Excuse me? That you put it, so you can get up and make all the restriction on the building and etc. etc.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The word doesn't come to mind. Yes,
yeah. Also me.
yeah.
So he said that the Zionism is like these things that hold the building until it's finished. Now the building is finished. We have to take it out away from the building. Also,
Scaffolding, scaffolding,
also,
scaffolding.
like that, I wish that there was no Zionist movement from the beginning, because the Jews and the Arabs were living here not only in, and I hope that there was also the Manda that also create, all those countries
Yeah,
according to the provinces, because there was no Syria, no Lebanon, no Palestine, no Jordan, no Israel, nothing. There was all the Middle East living together. Everyone can move from place to place, and to work from place to place, to marry from place to place. It wasn't, an issue. Now we have all these countries, because the West wanted the Middle East to be divided, so it will not be a very big country. And the Jews were also put in a place that they have to be in a country, while the Syrian in a country, the Lebanese in a country, and also the Palestinian. So I wish Zionists weren't came. So maybe we can live in Damascus and Baghdad,
yeah.
but it happened.
Well, Warda, we are using a lot of time. I want to talk to you about your peace plan.
Yeah.
We talked about how difficult the relationship is. Now the question is, how do you make peace? If you can describe your peace plan very shortly, because I want to ask you a question after you describe your peace plan.
You mean the political peace plan, or what I'm the activism plan?
Is it different?
Because the activism, it's we are working in getting the people aware to to create trust, to create acknowledgement for the people between Palestinians and Israeli, to make the situation acceptable to all, uh, to
Okay,
make.
so that's your day to day activism. But
Yeah,
what about
future.
your vision your political vision for peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis?
Am with the rules of the United Nations, telling that there has to be acknowledgement and self-determination for the Israeli and for the Palestinians. But I don't think that it has to be separated one from the other. So I believe that kind of confederation between the established Palestine and Israel, the state of Israel and the state of Palestine, where, both of them are living in coexistence and in partnership, which means that if we take, for example, Israel and Palestine as two independent countries, and they have their own government, their own parliament, their own everything, on
Political system, their own
yeah,
political system.
but in the other hand, they have in Jerusalem, because I don't think that Jerusalem must be divided as according to the United Nations resolutions, and it will be how to say that joint joint
Joint city,
capital
joint
capital,
capital.
but not, in my plan, for example, I believe that Ramallah will be the administrative capital, Tel Aviv will be the administrative capital, those for two countries that they have the governments and every, office of the government, and in Jerusalem, which will be symbolic capital, will be the parliament of Palestine, the parliament of Israel, and a joint parliament which come from both of these countries, and this joint parliament must create the joint constitution, which is the same for Israel and for Palestine, and all the rules, the rights, basic rights will be the same in both countries. And also speaking about how to solve, the five obstacles that they didn't deal with them in Oslo and in other solutions before.
Would you agree with me that the Israeli government ever from beginning and the Palestinian governments from beginning, they were all failed governments?
Yeah, yeah.
So why would you include in your peace plan giving those failed governments additional responsibilities to make peace?
That leadership, a new leadership can be created, and this kind of leadership, coming from the bottom up, which means if we speaking about Palestine, for example, there is provinces, they have to be elected. Every province can elect his legal leader, and those people will be in the government, in the parliament, and later on in the government. And the same in Israel. If there is like, you can see that. I think the way that the elections in Israel, it didn't help us creating a good and new leadership. We are in the same problem again and again. And you see that Netanyahu again and again got the leadership only for 5 mandats, give him, to lead the country, while being also in the government for 30 years as a minister and as a governor. It gives him the authority and the power to lead more people and to bring more people to his side. And because of that, I think that this kind of elections is not good. So I prefer, speaking about my plan, that there has to be leaders that they also come from their places, from their areas, that represent all the communities in their places, and also come with the new ideas, with the new perspectives, that all together they come to the parliament and they produce their kind of thinking and kind of background. And this can also give them, the sustainability also, that we are respecting our people and we are representing our people. So this I think, if we speak about also the, how to say that, many kind of people, the how to say it in English, that many kind of people there is in Israel, many kind of communities there is in Palestine, and this is the given, how to say that in English, or that we have many kinds of communities.
Diversity?
Yeah, diverse. Yeah. So there is a diversity of the communities. Not all the people in Israel are the same perspectives, the same backgrounds, the same kind of life. And also in Israel, in Palestine, there is also differences. So I believe that everyone has to live his own life and in his kind of customs. That's why, but in condition that he will not affect the other communities and respect the other communities.
Well,
So
let me
this
ask you
kind
this.
of joint parliament will be more effective than the one parliament for both countries.
Do you think that the Palestinians suffer from the same trauma that the Jews suffer from the Holocaust, that the Palestinians suffer from the Zionists, and basically became the mirror image of the Israelis in terms of their suspicion, in terms of their hatred to each other, that they are the mirror image of each other?
You know, I learned, if I want to survive in Israel, I must not speak about the Holocaust. But I always said every tragedy and every soul and every person is the whole world for his people, for his family, for his own. So, okay, in the Holocaust there was a very terrible things happened. People were burned, displaced. Races get races also from different areas. I don't want to speak what the Zionist movement also make to this also thing to be more and more cruel, and but I want to focus on the trauma of one person, trauma of 100 person, trauma of 1,000, and trauma of 1 million or 1 billion. It's same trauma. People who
Yeah.
who feel that he was displaced, was burned, was racist, was it's the same trauma. People who live the trauma once can, like the Israeli, the Holocaust trauma, they live it for 80 years. The Palestinians live it over and over.
Yeah.
There
But
was trauma.
the reason I'm asking you this
Yeah,
is because you were talking about the Palestinian leadership becoming new and the Israeli leadership becoming new. But one of the principles of your peace plan is that somehow these two governments have to be created and continue and have to be maintained.
of course, in my program there is an educational program. There is
Yeah,
also social program.
but yeah, yeah. But I think these governments are the problem. They're not the solution. I don't see a reason why reasonable Israelis and reasonable Palestinians could not create their own government. Why do we have to remain in our so-called camp and maintain the distance, and somehow within that camp that is full of trauma, and to expect that we will have a rise in leadership? I don't see why we cannot have Palestinians and Israelis together in the same government in competition with the Palestinian government and the Israeli government. totally independent and separate from the Israeli and the Palestinian government.
In my plan, I think it will be also together. For example, if we're speaking about Israel, there is also a party that I am one of the very active member. It's called Israhiha, all of its citizens. That Palestinians, Israeli Palestinians, and the Jews are now together, and it has to be 50-50 that Palestinian, every position in the party has to be a Jew and Israeli. For example, the chief of the council, and I have co-partner who is a Jew. Also the head of the party Palestinian, one is Jew. Also, there is the secretary, head of the secretary, one Jew, one Israeli, one Palestinian. So, and also one man and one man, gendery, and and we speaking about all of its citizens, not only Palestinian. If we speaking that
But wait a
everyone,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
yeah,
All of its citizens exclude the Palestinians in the West Bank and
yes.
Gaza.
Yes. So I want to give you an example in Israel, how we will start that together we start an example of partnership together and having the government together, having everything together, not to be an opposite, but to be partnership,
Yeah,
a real
but but
partnership.
but all of that is to become part of the Israeli parliamentary system, which is separate and independent, which is different,
Yeah,
which
but
does
it
not
is
allow the Palestinians to vote, does not allow the Palestinians equality. So
But
does it make
you can't climb the top of the ladder from the beginning. You have to go step by step. If we create this kind of partnership in Israel, we can build the trust. We can build that it is possible to be together. It will be a kind of you see. Here is the Palestinian in Israel together are governing the country, and they are good example of partnership here
but
in
that's
this.
part of a Zionist system.
Yeah, look, we don't speak about Zionism here. We said
It
that we
doesn't
don't.
matter, but you're
One
gonna
minute,
be you're gonna be swearing allegiance
Joseph,
to the
we
Jewish
can.
state of Israel and
Thank
to
you
its
for
God,
this. Thank you
including
for mentioning this because we in this party we have also we want to separate the religion from the country. We want to make another in team that it also include the Arabs, the Palestinians here. We want to make we think about a lot of things that we want to change in the whole country, that it gives also the Palestinians outside an example. So not only the trust between Palestinian and Israeli inside Israel will be changed, also the Palestinian outside will see that there is a hope for partnership. You speak about that there is also
but
trauma and it is
it's not
mirrored.
partnership. It's under the Zionist umbrella of Israel. It's not partnership. You're first of all, once you're elected, I don't know if you're a candidate, but once you're elected, you have to raise your hand and swear allegiance to the state of Israel, to its government and its laws, including the law that specifically exclude Palestinians that we spoke about. That's not
So
an example of partnership.
yeah,
That's an example of accepting.
understand. Yeah, I understand that, and yeah, we talk about this a lot, and this is, like you can't go to the top of the ladder from the beginning without going step by step. We want to make a change. If we are not inside the government, we can't make this change. So we want to go inside the government, inside the parliament, make the change in Israel itself. Because I believe that peace
What
can
kind of
be.
change are you talking about?
about everything, even this that
But
you when you
will you pass laws that says that Palestinians in the West Bank and Gaza are equal citizens and they should be, since they live under Israeli occupation, that they should be allowed to vote?
yes, yes, one
And
of the things that we
you expect the Israeli parliament members to vote for that?
look. If we suspect every challenge that we have a good challenge, if we suspect every challenge of change, we can't make a change. We have to believe in that change.
I
We have
agree. I
to
agree.
work for this change. So we have really in our basic rules or basic rights that we put it as a rules for our party. We speak equity for all of the people inside and outside Israel, and which means that ending the occupation and make everyone has his self-determination. Was it in Israel or was it in Palestine or was it in Israel-Palestine? Because if we make this confederation, we can name it a different name. We can make it a Canaan, for example, country. We can name it Israeli-Palestinian country. We can, but the province of Israel, the province of Palestine, will be independent in some kind of, even it has some different areas, inside it. So we in Israel, we can't now, the situation is very hard to convince people that come to be partners with the Palestinian. But at least we can make an example inside of Israel, telling them that there is a partnership with people that you meet every day, meet in a hospital, meet in a supermarket, meet in the market, meet in every place in Israel. And those people not only will serve you as a doctors or nurses or market or in the market every. They will serve you also as a governor in the Knesset we have before, but because they weren't in the government, they couldn't even make the change and make the difference that the people in Israel see that they are capable. So when we have this party who is both Jews and Israeli, by its definition, it has to be part 50-50. It has to be determinant to make this equity, to make this about justice, about religion, about occupation. Not only because if I say that I'm searching for equity for the citizen in Israel and I occupied another country, there is no freedom for the other country. So we have also a section speaking about making peace, and this section until now, we didn't also decided what kind of solution we want to support in the future. But because there is many solutions, including my solution, including lands for all, including your solution, including the federal solution, one state, two state, different solutions. So we have a committee that discussing this solution until we will be in the government. We can decide together what solution will be suiting the but before that we have to build the trust. We starting with speaking about the fear and the trust and the partnership. If we started in Israel to make a partnership between the Palestinians in Israel and the Jews in Israel in governing the country and changing the laws that discriminate the Palestinians in Israel, and also hoping to change the situation with the other countries, especially with the Palestinian country. So I think we can promote a sustainable peace. And there is a movement called the 2027 movement, which called to go out from Palestine in 2027 by David Milovani, who really started 3 years ago. And I think we have another 2 years to feel this this kind of movement, the strength of this movement. And after this war, I think, and after the 7th of October, which started before the 7th of October, I believe, it will be a change also in the, in the environment. And we are working on that.
Well, I strongly disagree with your
You're
with.
right.
I don't see joining the Israeli parliament as a Jewish Zionist entity.
We can change it later. If we are
Okay.
outside, we can change it. We
Well,
can't.
I like I said, I strongly disagree. I think that the Israeli government will never give peace to the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. And I don't see the Palestinian governments giving peace. I think the only way to do it is to have a separate, independent government that is not tied to all these issues that are part.
How? May I ask how?
How to create this federal
Yeah,
government?
yeah.
Yeah, yes. I'm glad you asked me. You have elections with
What kind of
300.
elections? Because in the same kind of elections we get the same people in the government.
No, 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 no. You create 300 parliamentary districts.
Why
That is,
300?
also a good question because you don't want to give the parliament members too much power. So 300 parliament members representing 300 districts in Palestine, in Israel, in Gaza, the West Bank, Jerusalem, and in Israel. 300 districts. Each district has 47,000 people. In each district, you will have a parliament member who is elected by the district. You will have a president and vice president, Israeli and one Palestinian, all elected independently and separately from Israeli and the parliament and the Palestinian government. Completely separate, independent government that would be the only legitimate government in Israel Palestine. The Israeli government is not a legitimate government in Israel Palestine. The Palestinian government are not legitimate government in Israel
Yes.
Palestine. It makes no sense to join a government that is proven to be failed, narcissistic, racist, illegitimate government, and to say we are going to join them and be a small minority in them and hope to change them. Those are failed governments. They are incapable of making peace. A true secular democratic government in the area of Israel Palestine will be able to make peace because it will be based on equality, based on separation between government and religion, and it would be based on a constitution. By the way, the constitution is already written. You said that your party doesn't even have a vision for a solution because you would
No,
never be.
I didn't say that. We did. We said we didn't decide what kind of,
Okay.
because till now we are also, for example, citizen or all of its land for all are very very close to us, which is also speaking about
Yes,
confederation,
yes.
etc., etc.
I'm very familiar with them. Okay. So this election could take place online with all the people in Israel Palestine voting, not just Israelis, not just Jews, not just with the Arab Israelis and excluding the Palestinians. A federal secular government for the whole area.
Joseph, it will be this solution. It will be the ideal, but not for now. We have to
Why
step.
not? Why not for now?
Why? Because you know the situation.
No,
How you can start
that's
this?
not a proper
How you
answer.
can
Why not
convince
for now?
Israel? How you can convince the government of Israel to change if you are not there?
You don't. You
So
didn't
how
hear me.
you
You
will
didn't hear me.
disappear?
I said independent, and separate. I'm not here to change the Israeli government. They're incapable of being changed.
Okay.
The people of Israel and Palestine will elect the
How?
government.
How? How you would
You live in an area, let's say you live in a village. That village would be assigned a district. So let's say your district is 45. You look up on your telephone and you see, okay, I belong to district number 45. I have so many parliament members, so many candidates for parliament, and I have to vote for president and parliament member, and you vote. That's
very
it.
good. Very good.
Okay.
Accept. Accept
Okay.
it. But how you create this kind of elections? You have that the government decide for this kind of elections.
No, you can create this. First of all, we
How?
already
How?
no.
Let me, please. I want this, it's like a cosmic, something.
First of all, we've done it before.
How?
We created 300 parliamentary districts. We had the election on December 12th, 2012. 300 districts online. We divided this whole area, created
Where
300.
is the government that you created?
No, we didn't have enough votes. We didn't have enough awareness. Okay? It failed. I totally agree with you. It failed because we did not have awareness. We thought that the election itself will create the awareness. It did not. And beside, the election started on December 12th, 2012. I don't know if you remember, there was a major war between Gaza and Israel in November of 2012, and that killed any idea of having the election. But technically, it is very possible to create the election.
Mhm.
Constitutionally, it is very possible to create a constitution. In fact, it's been created. Logically, it makes the most sense. It's the only system of government that will bring peace. It acknowledges the failed Israeli and Palestinian governments that are incapable of giving peace. Joining the Israeli parliament makes no sense whatsoever. It's a nationalistic, racist organization that accepts the idea of apartheid, supremacy against the Palestinians and against in the West Bank and Jerusalem and in Gaza. So I'm not here to argue with you because, I think that
We are in the same path, Joseph. We are in the same path.
no, we're not.
This
We're
is a
not.
kind.
We're not. We're not.
No, because
You say yes, the Israeli
this is
government
a long
is a failed
term.
government, but I want to join it.
No, because
Yeah, that's what you said. You
I'm
said
more rational
you want to be
about
part
that.
of the. You're not rational at all. You're
I'm, mo-
not
I,
rational at all. You
you
say
know, I'm more rational about how we do that. What you suggest, it's the best, But to arrive to this kind of point that you convince all the people between the river and the sea,
no. We don't have to convince all the people. You don't have to convince.
how you create this system of election, how you make it legal.
You set up the platform online.
Okay.
You give you create awareness in Israel and Palestine of.
How you get, have you the power if you weren't in the education system
You're
in
right. The only way to have we need about $100 million to do that. Okay, that's all. A
100
hundred million.
million?
Yes, a
You have?
hundred million dollars will.
You have this kind of money?
I don't.
Maybe we
I
go to
don't.
Elon Musk.
No, I don't need to go to Elon Musk. I can go to the people of the world. People of the world will support this. We don't really need the money at this time. We need awareness. That's
Awareness needs money also, how to get to the people.
no awareness. Yes, awareness needs money. We have enough money to start the awareness. We are starting the awareness. We have a ad in the Washington Post this next week. Next week, we have a quarter page ad in the Washington Post. Last month, we had an ad in the New York Times. Okay?
What we need in the New York Times, we need here in in Jerusalem, in Acre, in Haifa, in Nablus, in Ramallah. We need these
No,
people to
you
be
don't need
awareness.
the people they are not going to contribute the $100 million. So first we
After
need
we started here, we can convince the people in New York that there is a program that people are aware to that kind of process. Let us help us to get the money
okay.
to promote it.
Look, first you oppose it, now you become an advisor. It doesn't make sense. Okay.
No,
Um,
I
Look,
told you it's an ideal.
I spoke with you so many times
Yeah.
before, and you ask me now questions as if you never heard me before.
No, no, I ask you to how to say that to make it more clear for those who don't didn't hear that.
Look, I think that the people in Israel and Palestine will not start it. They are too embroiled in hatred towards each other. They are too nationalistic. They have no vision for peace. Even you, with a vision for peace, you say, well, let's go to the Israeli parliament, which is the worst entity for peace. So I mean, look, I think that if we get awareness in the United States, in Europe, all over the world, then we will be able to get the funding. And if we get the funding, then we can create the election, and then we will go to Israel and Palestine and create the election in Israel and Palestine. But to answer your first question, you said you need to convince all the people. No, there is no single government that convinces all the people. Do you know how many people voted in the United States election? Not at least less than half of the population vote. The same thing in Israel Palestine. I think if we create the election, if we create the awareness, if we have parliament members running, then we will have about 5 million people voting out of the 14 million people in
Joseph,
Israel Palestine.
how I agree with you. This will be the best solution for Israel and Palestine, both countries, to be some kind of federal or some kind of confederal, etc. But we need first, if we want to more, even if we get the awareness for the people, how you can change the system here in Palestine and in Israel to make it happen. It's not easy
Look,
to convince.
okay, look, Warda, will you be willing to be our guest speaker on February 16th? We have a Zoom simulation that deals exactly with that question we have.
I was there several times in this simulation,
No, you were not the speaker. You are not the speaker.
Okay.
Okay. Will you be willing to be the speaker? And then you will see incrementally how it works. And I can guarantee you, each increment, you will say, I agree, I agree, I agree, and I agree. And you will see how it's becoming. That's why we are conducting simulations.
The simulation is very good when you're speaking about making it, in every village, in every city, in every area here in Israel or in Palestine, even in the clubs here, in the, the places that people attend every day. But till we arrive to that and make,
So
also that.
you're saying the simulation is an experiment in a vacuum. It has no real relation to reality. Correct? That's
No, I don't say that because I don't want to be, how to say, to decide if it was like this or this. I live here, Joseph. I live in Jerusalem. I live in Haifa. I live in Nazareth, and I was living in Beit Jala. And I know the situation on my, skin. Do you know now that there is
Yeah, but
300
you
checkpoints now
know
in.
your whole existence. is based on the constellation of the Israeli government and the Palestinian government. You do not have an existence based on a common federal government. Your whole life
How
experience.
you change that? You have to change everything, the system, that the
Yes,
system that
exactly. That's
bring
what
you
that's
to
what we
these
want.
elections.
Look, please. I don't understand why you are
No,
not willing
no,
to. Can,
I agree with you. I like your simulation also. I was also in your simulation several times. But I tell you, the problem here, I'm I'm speaking from the reality. We said that the problem in Israel that this kind of elections for the government, for the parliament, makes the situation worse and worse and make Netanyahu come
right.
again and again. We
Yeah.
need we need to change it. But how we need to change it? The parliament has to vote for that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me, I think I have this conversation a lot with Palestinians and Israelis. And what you're expressing, I hear a lot. And I tell you what I tell them. This is like a woman who is abused by her husband. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying in general, okay? And the police comes and say, you gotta go and you're gonna be abused and maybe even be killed at one time. You need to go somewhere else away from your husband. And she says, well, he's going to go and get me over there too. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here. In other words, an inability to accept different reality. It's willingness or the insistence or the stubbornness to stay in the same reality and to just hope that by a system of somehow things will change. You need to change them from the core, and you need to see what's wrong with your system right now. And then once you understand what's wrong with your system, then you will be able to change the system. But you want to join the system and hope that the system that has been abusive to you will change. It's not going to happen.
I can tell you, first of all, coming to your example about the abused woman. The abused woman, now we also have examples. If there is a risk on on her life, we get her in some place until we can control his husband and also get him or to in a place that he can treat it or etc etc, and then she can get her freedom and go outside that place that was as a protective place for her. So this is what we want to do. We want to go to that place, which is the government, and change the rules, which make me second in Israel, for example, as a citizen, second, and the change that I will be not second, I will be the same like the Israeli Jew in governing in everything, and then make another change and another change and make the constitution, because in Israel there is no constitution also. This
There
constitution
is
will
no
build.
constitution because it's a Jewish state and you cannot have a
Yeah,
constitution for a
we
Jewish state.
are also working on separating the religion from the country. It will not called a Jewish state, it will be called a democratic Israeli state.
Yeah.
So
So going back to my example, you're saying I want to go and talk to the husband and have him change his mind. You're not
no,
going to
to
be able.
protect me first, to protect me from the risky husband. And then this husband
I
will,
know, but but
if he,
but by talking to him and telling him, let's agree on this,
it's
let's
not
agree on that,
talking
let's agree
because
on that. The
he has
moment you
mental
leave,
problem.
he's going to say, I'm.
He has mental and social problem. We have to separate him from his wife, because if we don't separate, maybe he will kill her. So we can talk to him and treat him and even put him in prison. Then give the lady to be more free and more protected. It's not only that we have. It's not the same from the beginning, but we can try to make this man heal. If we can heal the government and we put the people, the right people in these places, this will be also change. I agree with you that we have also in every city, in every village, we have elections. We have more than 500 cities in Israel that mayor also was elected, etc. For me, it's not the problem to elect those people. For me, it's the to bring those people, to make from those people or somebody like they were elected, that they were elected to be a governor, to be parliament members. We have that system that bring people, and it's not digital. It's that these people. Maybe sometimes you voted because he is relative, or his attitude, or his character, or his charisma, etc., etc. So we have in every village a mayor, or in every city a mayor that we elected him. If we can start it with this, bring these mayors to be parliament members, it will be a start. Then we can change that. It mustn't be, the mayor. It has
Yeah,
to be somebody
the
else.
mayors in Israel are all belong to the parties. They either belong to
No,
the
no,
Likud.
it hasn't. It's not obligatory. There is some.
Like, it's not obligatory, but they are all, most of them. I see the elections in Israel, the mayoral elections. He writes whether he's Likud, whether he is.
Because they got the support from the money, the support. And
It's a corrupt system from head to toe, and it has to be changed, and it cannot be changed by going into the corrupt system, especially when you're such a small minority in Israel. I doubt that you would be elected, but that's a different issue. But to go and say, well, okay, this is a Jewish state, this is a Jewish Knesset, you have to swear allegiance, and then let's change all of that, to me is within the Knesset, is unrealistic. It is much more realistic to say, let's have the logical Israelis and the logical Palestinians create a federal government together, based on secular principle, based on democracy and equality for everyone. I'll give you a chance to make your final statement, and then we've been here for a long time. But I think we had a good conversation.
thank you, Joseph. Thank you for inviting me. I can tell you that what I have in my vision, that it has to be crucial and fundamental change in Israel, in the Knesset, in the government, in every city, in the nation also. Until we arrive to that, we have to create an example, good example of partnership. This partnership also will help you in your vision, and help you also in creating the trust, and in creating the in creating not only the trust, but in disappearing the fear from each other, that the other person, or the other people, or the other community, it is okay, not will not be threat for me, and we can create this kind of situation. If we arrive to that kind of situation, I'm not Zionist, I'm anti-Zionist. And in my party, for example, there is non-Zionist, there is anti-Zionist, and there is post-Zionist. And besides, there is who are not Zionists at all. We decided not to speak about that. We want to use what is available for us to change. And then we can create, the things when we are in the government, create all the rules that we created for ourselves, the basic rules, the basic rights that our party or our activism is based on, like freedom, equality, separating religion from the country, making the symbols of the joint country also, making the changing the symbols of the country that also come with all these rights of the citizens in Israel and also later on the citizens of Palestine.
All right. Thank you so much, Warda. I enjoyed speaking with you, and
Thank you.
I think we had a very good conversation.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.